Hey everyone, welcome back to Gun Tote Minnesotan. This is the Brinyte PT16A 3000 Lumen flashlight, tactical flashlight. At that, let's go ahead and unbox it quickly and show you what it comes with. Starting off, of course, the flashlight is on top. I've already had this out of the box and charged it up. It's ready to go. There are a few features I'm going to want to go over with this so you know more about how that functions. But for now, let's just put it aside and see what else is in the box. It's going to come with a Velcro identifier. You could put on some of your gear if you're proud to own your product. There's a lanyard. If you wanted to run this through, you can run this lanyard through the tail. And I'm actually going to go ahead and install this because that is the way that I'm going to prefer to run this one. I know that this comes with a tactical application or maybe a weapon mounted option or something with Picatinny, but for my uses in this demonstration, this review, I'm actually going to be using it as a pocket carry or wrist lanyard carry, maybe in the bag, something like that. I'll put that to the side. Here's your charging device. It is USB-C, which makes me very happy. I think that was a great decision on the part of Brinyte. This is super common. We're seeing this in more and more tech, and it's really fast. It charges excellently. I think speed is probably one of the better speeds I've seen for a full charge. You're going to have some extra O-rings in your package as well, and then a manual. So the manual and some of the information you're going to need, I actually think these are good to hold on to. The manual itself is going to help you know about the tail cap operations, how to set this up in different configurations, and what each button does, as well as what these features are that you're going to see around the light itself. Here's your warranty and registration card. You can check more out with that QR code right there. You're gonna get that in the package. There's more. Underneath all of that, that's where you're gonna find the tactical application for Picatinny. So inside this, again, I'm not gonna be using this in this review, but you could mount this to a barrel. It's got a barrel mount, which maybe like a shotgun or something like that, or just something that doesn't have Picatinny. Or you could take this off and remove it. Let's take it out of the bag for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. You can actually remove this from that. And this is basically just like a scope ring that has the mounting hardware of a scope ring, but the body size is sufficient where this is going to fill up that gap. It does have some tape on the inside to hold it down. It is branded, and it's got a thumb screw on the side for quick tightening, and then you can lock it down if you use a standard or slotted screwdriver to lock it down to your Picatinny rail if you so choose to not use the barrel mount there. It does have the hardware that you're going to need as well as the tools included in the bag. So along with that comes a tail cap option. This is really cool because it's got two pads here, and with these two pads on the other side, you're going to see that it has a sticky pad. So even if you don't have an appropriate place to put it, you can usually make a sticky pad work. And these buttons are very clicky. I will attach it just for the moment. Again, the rest of the review is going to be handheld, but if you did choose to mount this up in the Picatinny application, this is something that you would probably use with that. Let me show you what that looks like by taking this end cap off and reapplying this. Inside, if you're curious, this is a 5000 mAh battery. This is a pretty decent battery. You can get a lot of power and a lot of time out of tools that use those batteries. It's as simple as this though. You have your spring on the other side. You go ahead and attach that by screwing it into place and making sure it's totally secure so water isn't going to get in there, humidity is not going to get in there. And now, if I wanted to operate this, there is, yeah, it's really, really bright. There's on, just constant on. That is the probably the second button, the way that you'll configure it on a weapon. Okay, and then here is strobe, and strobe is momentary. So the next button controls strobe. So if you had this mounted up to some M-lock or on your rifle, tactical rifle, you have two options there, and I think it makes a lot of sense. There is not a momentary other than strobe. So momentary is going to be strobe only, and then on is on and off is off. But it does take some good force to click that on. That's appropriate. You don't want it to be too light where it gets turned on in your bag and gets really warm or kills the battery. Thankfully, it is rechargeable. Now with the extras out of the way, let's talk about the functions here. On the bezel, you can see there's actually some like window breakers or impact devices. It does have a design that allows for some aggressive kind of meat tenderizer function on the end there. Just be careful if you use that. You should probably understand the use of force continuum before you actually use this as a striking tool, because those are hardened metal bits and they could do some serious damage, which maybe that's what you want, especially in a weapon mounted light. That might be fine for you to use it as an impact device if you really needed to, if it sticks forward of your muzzle. You're gonna see that the LED in there it's almost got a purple hue. When I look inside of there, very, very reflective. And I'm gonna turn this on just for a second. Blinding bright. This is not a dull flashlight. This isn't just for a quick on-off application, because it's very, very bright. This is something that you would actually use when you need a flashlight for probably an extended period of time or a very specific application. And that's not a hindrance, that's a good thing. This is a quality flashlight in my opinion. Looks like it's got a purple hue in there, really cool LED. There is some texture on here for holding on to it and moving back from there. Then you can see that there is an indicator. I'm clicking it and it's giving me green. This battery is not low. You do have the name, the branding here, which is done pretty subtly, but probably appropriately. Sometimes it's important to be able to look it up and see what model you have and compare it against other ones. Again, this is the PT16A. It's listed there. There's a good grip on the body here, on the tube. This is the portion you'd actually be mounting to if you went with a Picatinny mounting option. And then there's a flare on the end, which may be very important depending on how you're going to be holding this or using this. And so that flare right there is actually kind of dual use. One of the things that it can do is allow this pocket clip to have a lot of tension. The pocket clip is built into the pad here. It's got a lot of tension. Even though it's hollowed out here, it's going to stay on your pocket. You're not going to lose this one. The grip and the texture will probably meet against your jeans or your pants or your shorts and provide just a little more friction. Pocket clip itself is high tension, but it slips out of the pocket well enough. I think the bezel and the flare here also provides some tension. So what I'm saying is this isn't just going to slip out of your pocket at any point. This is rounded. And so I don't feel like if you pocket carry this, it's going to be really sharp digging into your leg or your hip. If you were to wear this on a belt mounted option up a little higher, I still don't think this is going to dig into your sides, but it's just a little bit of a flare to give you something to hold on to, especially if you were to use this as, I don't know, perhaps an impact device of some sort. So a little flare there. And again, that's where your lanyard hole is located. Moving down to the end cap, you have another lanyard hole. So there's more than one option on the very, very end. And you have the function buttons here, which are protected. The housing itself on the very end, hopefully you can see that there, the housing protects the buttons so you don't have accidental discharges of the light, which with the tactical or weapon mounted light would be a big deal. You don't want accidental discharges. If you have this going off on accident on your rifle, you're going to give away your location. That would be a problem. You also don't want buttons that are so accessible or so easy to depress that you accidentally are turning it on in the field. Again, gives away your location or maybe just causes undue burning of the battery. So the housing is going to protect it from accidental discharges, and the buttons themselves, they're pretty tactile. They're a good click. I can hear them and I can feel them. They're not spongy, they're clicky, and that's what I like to see. It has a good rubber covering over all of it. Seems like a thick material, and it appears to be very, very water resistant, maybe even somewhat waterproof perhaps. So I like the buttons. I like that there's a different application or a different button for the application. So if you really need strobe, you have a separate button. It looks different, it feels different, and it's located in a different space than the traditional function or utility button here, or constant on. I think it's a good design. Let's take it outside and see what this contrast is like between this and a competitor of the exact same price point. All right, I'm looking at a distance of a little over 25 yards in a dark enclosed area. That's actually a sanctuary at my church. And I'm going to start off with that tail cap function of the strobe, momentary strobe. This is what I'm getting. And for me, it's lighting up the entire room. I can see everything around me. It is a very, very good strobe function. It's going to be pretty strong. and it will even be a little bit strong for the person who is casting the light. Now let's go to the consistent on or constant on. It's giving me a lot of spill. It's good. Still has a very center, white hot center. Incredibly white hot center, actually. The flashlight does warm up a little bit on you in your hand, but I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable. I wouldn't say it's hot. Now I'm going to switch over to that utility button on the side because there are, I believe, 4 different modes for light. And so this is the dullest. I'm going right in front of myself, 10, 15 yards. It still lights up the whole room, but this dull application right here is going to be good for trail walking, not giving away your signature with too much light, or conserving battery if you really needed to, like I do in the wintertime when I'm walking trails or hiking. And I can still see about that 25 yards. Yep, I can still see past the 25 yards. It's illuminating the area well enough. So I think this is a good utility function. Let's bump it up to the next setting. That's pretty strong. As you can tell here, hopefully the camera's picking it up well enough for you. I'm illuminating the whole room a lot more significantly. And when I go to the ceiling, when I light the ceiling up here, I can see everything just fine. That's quite a bit of light. Next function, third, is quite bright. The third function on the utility side button is really bright. This is probably as bright as most flashlights I've ever used. And tactically speaking, this is where you're getting a lot of a really direct center light, and it's going to go pretty far because of that hot center. But the spill is still good. The periphery is lighting up quite a strong area. And I'm going to go to that fourth one. This one's just hot. This is a hot, bright light, and it illuminates the whole room from my vantage point where I'm standing right now. Everything is bright when I turn this on, and the flashlight does warm up a little bit more in hand with that application right there. Pretty impressed. Let's move to a competitor on the brightest setting and see what that looks like. All right, here is a competitor on the brightest setting. Okay, now I'm on the brightest setting, and the spill is much, much larger on this competitor, but it doesn't appear to be brighter at all. It's more bland. This is a little bit of a bland light, and the competitor I'm using here is supposed to be a tactical light, but I'm having a hard time calling this tactical. This feels a little bit more utility. So the competitor does not have a white hot center at all. It doesn't appear to be piercing or blinding, and it does not cast very far in comparison to, and let me turn on the other one at the same time. Yeah, the competitor is on the left right now, and then cast to the right over here is the Brinyte, and there's no comparison. There's just no comparison. The Brinyte, that 3000 lumens, is infinitely brighter with a white hot center. And I feel like this other tactical flashlight I'm comparing against now just feels like a utility light by comparison. Acceptable for working or just, maybe working on your car engine or something, but it's not a tactical light. I think the Brinyte has the victory over this one pretty easily. Okay, let's do some distance. Now at distance, here is the competitor. Looks like about 25, 30 yards. I'm getting a lot of spill, but not a very white hot center. And when I try to go out to about 70 yards, it's hardly touching it. It maybe would reflect like a deer or something really shiny, but it wouldn't illuminate a dark spot very well, or somebody hiding in the shadows with like a navy blue or black. I don't believe I could identify contrast very well at distance with this one. It really lacks a hot center, which you need in a tactical light very often. Now let's compare that against the Brinyte, and it's not even a challenge. The Brinyte lights up the entire space I'm at, which is about 75 yards by 40 yards. Yeah, it lights up everything. I have a white hot center at 70 yards. I can see every single detail down there on that target stand. I can see colors. I can definitely see contrast, and if anybody was hiding wearing navy blue or dark black, they would not be able to blend in because the contrast is really high right now. It is almost like daylight bright. That's how bright it is. I'm almost a little bit careful where I shine it because I don't want to shine it towards anybody's house right now or the highway, because this thing goes really, really far. Wow. I'm gonna cast it out here for a little bit. Even beyond these trees, I'm seeing it at about 140 yards. Yep, about 140 yards, I'm seeing that light cast out there. That's very, very good. White hot center. Spill is still very usable. If this was mounted to a weapon, I think the spill would be totally sufficient for rifle use and tactical use again. Room clearing, that sort of thing. Remember, you have a utility side button where you can always knock it down if this is too intense. Or if you need the application of strobe, you have this, which the other flashlight at the same price point does not have. Flashlight is starting to heat up just a little bit in hand, but not too bad. I like it, guys. This is a good utility light as well as tactical light. And I think it will be going in my bag just for this reason right here, that it's got long battery life and it can do more than one thing. Overall, I do recommend this flashlight, especially if you're looking for something with a white hot center that does have a couple of those other features, is rechargeable, has a utility button, as well as more of the tactical tail switch application with strobe. If this is what you're looking for, it probably is one of the better deals out there. I don't think there's a lot of competition for this, especially at 3,000 lumens with how quickly this can charge via that USB-C. I'm a big fan. I'll be using it. And like I said, my primary application for this is going to be pocket carry or in a bag. So I'll keep it with a clip, but it comes with everything you need if you need to mount it up to a rifle and you want to switch it out for some sort of pressure pad operation. So this is a good deal. It gets my stamp of approval. If you already have one of these, go ahead and comment down in the comments section. Otherwise, you can check out my link down in the comments.